Star Trek The Next Generation was a show that everybody I interacted with. A show that I started watching when I was a really little kid. Can you believe it's been 30 years since Star Trek The Next Generation first
Star Trek The Next Generation was my life.
I really grew up with this show.
My relationship to how I should conduct myself. It was the escape from reality. Welcome to Next Generation's First Generation, where Patrick Delmore and Sascha Schaudies take a look back into their favorite childhood show, Star Trek The Next Generation. This is where we attempt to reconcile how we felt as children watching the show and looking back as old farts now in our late 30s, almost 40s. Guests, social commentary, and good old-fashioned shade-throwing on our favorite and least favorite episodes. Here comes Patrick and Sascha. Oh, I almost forgot. This is a watch-along podcast, so make sure to queue up your favorite DVD or Netflix, and we'll give you the countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to basically watch along with the episode.
Hey, wait, there we go. Yep, I see you. You need to shave.
It's a Riker-inspired thing.
Dirt sash.
You should have seen me back in the summertime. Did I have? Did you see my Amish beard? So I had a beard,
No.
and I trimmed the sides. I just had this really thin strip right here, and I had a straw hat that I would put on, and I had this little bit where I'm like, corn's coming in good this year.
Did you keep it for Halloween?
No, but I'll send you a picture. I took a picture of it, so I think we're going to be good. So what is this theorem about?
It's very simple. X to the n plus y to the n equals z to the n doesn't work for integers above 3.
So what do you do with this?
I mean, there's a lot of things that are solved in mathematics
That they don't
aren't used for a long time, like they were solved hundreds of years ago, that are now only being utilized in computers.
Oh, okay. So the idea is that they say, well, if I wanted the numbers to do this, to represent a certain value, the technology may not be in place, but the math is.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, I guess it is kind of the equation of a circle, in a way, which means it's the equation of an ellipse. And I know that the proof kind of dove into, what is it specifically? Semi-stable elliptic curves. There you go.
Semi-stable elliptic curves.
That's one of the advancements. It's almost like a type of mathematics that it went into, an area utilizing many different parts of mathematics.
Okay, that makes sense.
Watch, we'll figure it all out once the episode's actually over. We're like, oh, it actually does apply in this way.
Well, there have been episodes where they'll tinker with something and it happens to relate with the main story. But other times I think it's the idea is that the reason why they show those kinds of things is just to show that, oh, this person has an interest in something. Like every now and then they'll be reading a book or quoting from Shakespeare or looking at a protoplanet orbit and how they develop.
Yeah. Well, as far as orbits go, I mean, that's the direct correlation to ellipses. Because they're in orbit for everything that they do, right? They're always in orbit.
Right.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Next Generation's First Generation, a Star Trek The Next Generation commentary show. I'm Patrick Delmore, and with me, as always, is Sascha Schaudies.
Hello!
Who we got on the show tonight, Sascha?
We got a couple of gaggling guests here. We have our ever-lovely Gemleen Schaudies with us. Yay! And we have live from Canada over our Skype monster, Mr. Ed Gudlowski. Hello, Ed.
Hello, and hello all Star Trek fans.
Woohoo! Yay! So we are doing the Hotel Royale?
The Royale is the name of the episode.
That is excellent. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
So the Royale was the last episode to air in April of 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Has a very negative reputation among Star Trek fans, and we are truly going to find out why. I'm going to do my summation at the end of what it is that actually happens here. Needless to say, great premise. The Enterprise finds a ship from NASA.
Oh.
And want to find out what happened to the crew. Now, the rule on this show is that we've got on the DVD right now. We are on the chapter log. And I'm going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and hit enter, and we will start commentating. So let's do that.
All right.
5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
And enter.
There we go. So we have the green planet marble.
Looks like mold
Ooh, moldy planet.
or moss.
Really snotty moss.
The
Snot
graphics,
moss.
though.
Yeah.
So they're diverted from a regular thing, but why? Strange reading, strange vessel, something's coming up. They don't really know what.
And Jordy is doing what Data or Worf would normally be doing.
91 degrees Celsius, winds up to 312 meters per second.
So they're looking at a planet with methane volcanoes. Oh, no, sorry. Ammonia tornadoes. My bad.
So when was the last time everybody watched this?
Oh, it's been years for me. Maybe
Okay.
about 10, 15 years.
Okay, I just watched this on Tuesday. Or no, the day after Christmas. I was on
yeah.
Wednesday.
And I've never seen it.
So I am
Oh, wow.
up to date. Eddie, where are you at with this? Well, here comes.
I actually watched it, let's see, about a year ago, because I knew that eventually we were going to be doing this, and I wanted to just kind of familiarize myself with the episode.
So we're at the scene right now where he's going over Fermat's theorem. You had something to say about that.
Yeah, well, I have a background in mathematics, and one of the fun things is, Fermat's last theorem that he discusses here, just x to the n plus y to the n equals z, or since I'm in Canada, z to the n, is impossible to prove for integers above 2. Very simple. And it's his last theorem because he wrote it in the margin of a book, said, oh, I have a proof for this, and then he died.
Oh!
Oh!
Right?
Oh,
There you go,
man.
his last theorem.
Wow.
And people kind of freaked out over it. They said, oh, well, it must be really easy. Let's try and do it. And nobody did it until, well, this says that it still hasn't happened yet in this episode, which would be almost 800 years. However, that's not true, because 5 years after the airing of this episode, it got proven by an English professor at, I think, Princeton. And, yeah, pretty neat.
That's
Math proven by an English professor.
that's pretty epic right there. Now we were
No, like, English, like, from England, not English.
Oh.
Now, did he need a
What are you saying?
take that, liberal arts.
Oh! Ouch.
Did he need a computer to do it though?
I don't believe so. That
Okay.
sort of mathematics, you can't really use a computer to do anything at that point.
Because Picard here is like, it's amazing. This guy was a part-time mathematician and he did it all without a computer. Which it seems strange that Picard wouldn't credit him more than that, because Picard is probably more versed in the history of the pre-20th century of Earth, as I think he thinks it's a more perfect time.
Alright.
Yeah.
So we just
Oh,
came
another
upon the
fun fact,
NASA thing.
There are actually 52 stars on that flag.
Yes.
I was wondering about that.
Interesting.
So there are 52
yeah, so
stars.
Puerto Rico has a chance.
Puerto Rico and Guam and
Yeah.
I was thinking Guam, too.
Oh, the Guami Bears. We need to give them more love.
Well,
So-
this has one of the best opening teasers of any show ever. We got the theorem that we all remember, and then seeing a flag with 52 stars and NASA
And the
on
NASA.
it. And you're super excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not much, folks.
It kind of breaks the temporal fourth wall because it directly relates to us today.
Yep.
So that's kind of one thing that's always been hit or miss is what we think. It's what does sci-fi think we would relate to seeing today's stuff in their timeline? That's why a lot of the time travel episodes are either really great or just absolutely bonkers terrible. So this episode is episode 12, season 2, directed by Cliff Boyle, written by Tracy Torme, and he used a pen name as Keith Mills. Featured music is our ever so lovely Ron Jones.
So you know you're gonna like it.
I know I'm gonna like it. It's Ron Jones.
Except you don't like this episode.
Well, I'll get into that
Uh-huh.
in just a second. So the original air date was March 27th, 1988. So I hope you're all having
89, right?
or 89.
89.
My bad. So you were listening to this in 2019, and I really hope that you are having a wonderful first couple of days of spring. I think it's about your first week into the new springtime. So anyway, we are here at the conference table. Data and Picard, Troy, and Riker are all kind of trying to figure out how they came across a NASA spaceship, because there is no way it could have made it that far out to this remote planet.
Do they all know what NASA is?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they say the probe, or the wreckage they found is from the 21st century, so that would mean...
That's our century.
No,
You maniacs! You blew it up!
we're in the 22nd century now, because we passed 2000.
No, we're in the 21st century.
21st
Not
century?
until we hit
2000?
2100.
Oh, it's 20th century was the 1900s.
Yes.
Right.
That's right. Why are they off?
Because the first century was the, year one.
Suggestions.
Or,
No, I got you. Yeah. So 0 is 1,
Yeah.
and then the 100s is 1,
Yeah.
2. That's confusing. Anyway, so to go back, hey, there's our Mr. O'Brien.
So did we just miss the B plot right there? Something about
No, there really is.
planet?
There really is. They're going to the planet where they found the wreckage floating
Got
around.
it.
Yeah.
I believe we got it.
So what I don't understand, and I'll have to do some research in this, why did Tracy write under a pen name? As using a man's name. I wonder if she didn't feel like her work could get published.
Right.
And I remember this from being a kid, this effect. And actually they did fix this for the HD.
Okay, because this is pretty bad
It is.
graphics right here.
But all that they did was make the green above them a little bit more vivid.
Oh.
So it's not much of an HD fix. And the blacks are a little bit starker. They're not lit as much as they are in the front. But this stuck out in my mind from being a kid, this door that appears to, be attached to nothing.
A door.
I've always found that Riker and the team here always seemed a little dumber than they should be exploring this.
And then here's Data using no logic at all. The structure must be here, and yet we cannot see it.
Huh.
No, there's a door there, Data.
Yeah,
That
isn't very
doesn't
logical.
imply there's a structure there.
Huh.
That's like logic that androids now could do.
Well, they haven't fixed his heuristics yet, I guess.
Revolving door. Number 1, proceed with caution. Yes, sir.
So they're going to walk through this door on the middle of a planet. This has got to be one of the worst planet scenes I've ever seen.
So the deal is that
Oh.
the planet has a completely unbreathable atmosphere, but there is a
But there's a sound.
they saw a structure
Whoa.
on the bridge computer
Yes. It's lucky
that has breathable air in it.
It's lucky that they just beamed down blind.
And all of a sudden they're in Vegas. No, not really.
Pretty much.
So here's our 1980s, 1989 style casino and hotel.
And Riker is into it. He
Well,
is
I
into
mean,
it. Data's like,
Boozing
what?
and gambling and women, like
Come in.
that's all up his alley.
Signal at all from this, sir. Transporter room. Lock onto the landing party. Beam them up. Got nothing to lock on to, sir.
So they're a little disoriented trying to bring them up. It looks like they're suggesting that they're trapped.
Yeah, they can't get
Enterprise.
a signal, and Riker can't reach Enterprise.
No.
When they
So,
got to the antique doorway, the signal just disappeared. So
I'm wondering.
Did they say antique doorway?
They said antique doorway.
Okay.
That is correct.
They're receiving us. No. We're going to have to recalibrate all the frequencies to
They had a car on it. That's with any
So
signal.
true shot in the dark, trying to get these guys back. Let's look at this oogity boogery planet on the view screen.
Communication. You should beam up immediately. We're here. There's no danger.
We should
There's
check
no
it
danger.
out.
I based that on nothing.
Yeah.
What's really strange is they're not actually talking to anybody. Like, you walk into a room full of people on a strange planet, you think the first thing you would do is actually engage with some of the folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're just talking
Well,
to each other.
nobody's engaging with them yet either.
True.
And so here comes the setup. They're expected because the They're looking for foreign
Oh, it's
investors.
this dude. He's been in everything.
Yes. He's been on the show earlier
You know
too.
us?
Oh.
We've been expecting you. A trio of foreign gentlemen.
Trio of foreign
Yeah, we're
gentlemen.
from the United Federation.
That's a little creepy.
Of course you are. Welcome to the Hotel Royale.
And this should have had, like, if you were doing this right, it would have had like a cool like ba-dum bump beat after he said "Welcome to the Hotel Royale."
Hello.
But all you get here is
I'm talking about here.
this guy like trying to play like, I don't know, a Peter Lorre character or something. I mean, it's a noir setup,
Right.
but he's like just a guy that has like heavy eyebrows.
Mickey D.
Mickey D is the name of the gangster boss,
So, McDonald's.
pretty much.
That's what I was thinking. So he's going after the Big Mac.
Yeah.
There we go. We lost you, Ed, but now you're back.
I am.
Woohoo.
Except for you still have the video paused.
Oh,
Here are your room keys.
there we
Hey,
go.
there we go.
Woo! Well, that's okay. I've got a face made for radio anyway.
And some
Yeah, me too.
casino chips.
Hey, complimentary.
I don't remember ever receiving complimentary chips when I went to Vegas.
Same.
Well, they're a big deal.
Enjoy.
They're the three foreign gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
So when did you first see this, Ed?
First.
When did I first? see
Yeah,
it?
when did you
Ooh.
first run across Star Trek Next Generation?
Life is really none of your
Probably mid '90s.
Mid 90s?
I beg your pardon.
So
Yeah.
how old were you at the time?
What do you call it?
13, 14.
What do you call it?
13,
Right around
14.
there.
Cool. How do you remember if the show really meant anything, or was kind of cool, or just something in the background?
I found it really interesting because it was something different than most sci-fi. They really approached a overly utopian sort of aspect of humanity, whereas we've progressed to a point where it's all about exploring and becoming more and not really having any more issues to deal with at home.
Yeah, that's pretty safe to sound. Jokingly, the internet would call it space communism. But yeah, you're right. They're very much utopian future. That's actually one of the contrasts that I'm reminded of when you look at shows like Discovery today versus Star Trek Next Generation is in Discovery, things are not safe at home, yet they still have to deal with these external threats. Whereas Next Generation, things are safe at home. Home is always good. And they kind of stumble into these plots.
Here comes Tex.
Text.
No, that's his name. He's exhibiting a level of restraint that few people playing a role like this would do. Because he's not larger than life. He's about the same size as life.
Business.
We've seen that.
They should have had the Pit Wolfies guy show up.
Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking.
The low mileage Pit Wolfies. How funny would it be if he was like just part of the recreation team on the Enterprise?
Yeah.
Like on his off hours, he'd hang out with Mott the barber.
Yeah.
So do we know if this casino set was actually built, or is it on location somewhere?
It's probably a casino set that they had
Okay.
on the Paramount lot.
So this guy, his name Tex. His name's Noble Willingham.
Wow, he actually wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah. He died in 2004, January 17th.
Huh.
He's been in more than 30 films.
Wow.
Yeah.
Always as a
see.
cowboy, I wonder? I mean, he seems to be kind of typecast there.
That would be kind of funny. He's been in Chinatown, Big Bad Mama, Where Have All the
Troy.
People Gone, Aloha
This is
Bobby and Rose.
It's like Riker's on the sexy planet and Troy gets to sit there and feel how he's feeling. And then has to like...
Oh, I didn't even think about
She's
that
gotta, like,
because they
tone
used to
it.
date.
Yeah, she's got to tone it down for Picard.
That's
He's
awkward.
amused. He's amused.
Does
I thi-
Picard not know that Troy and Riker used to date?
I don't know if he does. I don't think he's talked about it with them.
Huh.
Actually, no. It must have come up during the Child where Riker was being super creepy.
I love Data so much. I think...
Well, you're going to get to see him wear a cowboy hat again in a couple of years. Too.
Excellent. Coming to it as an adult, I found a new appreciation for Data, whereas before I just thought he was a boring character. But, you know, I can see all of the nuances behind him and his character development, and it's been a lot of fun to see.
Yeah.
That was awkward. That made my hand hurt a little bit.
Data's a lot of fun. In the last couple of days, I've been playing with Visual Basic and error handling. So the idea is that in programming, when something goes wrong, you've got to give the computer you've got to write in some instructions on how to deal with the error. And some of the classic sci-fi is that Kirk could talk an android or a computer into killing itself through a logic problem.
Yes.
So here we have Data here who runs into logic problems every day, and I'm just thinking, you know, Dr. Sung was probably a better code writer than he was a bioengineer.
Could be.
So.
Well, I remember an episode, actually, it was like 11011 or something like that,
Yeah.
where they say compute to the last digit of pi,
I will definitely need another car.
and it holds up the system. Isn't it that episode that does that?
I know the concept, but no, it's not in that one.
Not in
But
that one, okay.
it's out there. It's out there. I don't know which one it is. This is killing me. We'll have to look it up now.
Jem is just having a blast
yeah.
watching Data play poker and smile this kind of stupid grin.
Well, it's just funny. He's like, do you know what the odds are that you could actually... And then Data was, you know, he opened his mouth about to tell him what the odds were, and he was interrupted, but I just thought that was hilarious. But this lady is annoying, because she's just like, poor me, I don't have any brains, I need everybody else to tell me exactly how to play this game.
This woman is the dumb blonde gold digger for sure.
Oh, man.
Our apologies, sir. I'll watch you cheer.
What do I do? Maybe I should just have another drink.
So off the three of them go to explore. Data's got to give the hat back to Tex.
Sorry, sir.
I wore it the day Kennedy was shot, and it's always brought me luck.
So, did you guys mention what year the book was written?
I can't remember.
Do you happen to know that?
I can probably find.
We haven't come to the book yet, but what's going to turn out is that the last living astronaut on that ship that they found had like kind of a pulp novel about a casino.
Oh.
And so the aliens decided to create the world of the casino for him to live the rest of his life in.
Interesting. Okay.
Sorry, to answer the question, Tracy, which is a he, not a her, had his name removed from the credits after he became unsatisfied with the rewrites. His original idea was a surreal nightmare about astronauts stuck forever in his most pleasant memory. And that's what they had, a hotel?
Wow.
Well, it's like
That guy didn't do much.
No, not at all.
well, it's like Casino Royale is the idea. There's like
Okay.
I love that they don't have any other way to film this than to have the door be a revolving door. Whereas we can make these YouTube videos now where it shows somebody like walking in a door and then ending up like right back where they came from.
Right.
Like in 30 years ago, it was like, no, the door literally has to be revolving because we can't edit it to make it look like they just ended up where they came from.
So I missed Oh, they're trying to get out. I was gonna say I missed something.
And actually, they did that in that episode where Worf and Riker were on the Yamada.
Huh.
Where they kept walking through the door and they
That's
ended up on the bridge.
Yeah. I'm getting a distinct Golden Girls vibe here.
Oh, how funny would it be if it was a cameo? That would have worked back then.
Yeah, Golden Girls was still on the air at this point.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I'm willing to bet that the book that this fantasy is based on is not a real book.
No.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No.
That would have been interesting.
It's a sort of kind of a James Bond kind of a pastiche.
Right.
Which is it's interesting. Deep Space Nine many years later would take this same concept and turn it into a holodeck casino caper.
So this part is kind of crazy. Is that they're gonna shoot a phaser at a piece of wood? What do they expect to happen?
A door up here?
No, well,
Some way out?
I mean, if you've shot a phaser at a piece of wood, it'd catch on fire.
I just want there to
it's
be an
not catching on
exchange where
fire.
Yeah.
Riker goes, "Is your phaser broken?" And Worf's like, "I don't know. Put your hand there."
Sir, I can find no other exits. I believe we are
Like any good design casino, you cannot find the exit.
Oh no.
We went to...
We're
Oh,
stuck
so
here
true.
forever.
Jem and I went to Las Vegas in September of 2018, and we could not find the exits in some of these places. We were horribly
Just keep
lost.
going, yeah.
We just decided to pick a direction and walk forward.
Captain, the situation down there has changed.
Well, I'm glad that Troy has a role. She's able to tell them things are going wrong.
I've become
I have the feels.
Yeah.
The feels from Riker.
Troy's saying, you know that when a guy gets tense and he kind of furrows his brow and a little bead of sweat comes. It'd be funny if she just started oversharing all this insider knowledge about Riker because she dated him
Yeah.
for so long. Like that could be a great if she had the personality of Tilly from Discovery, where she always overshared everything.
Well, this would have been an interesting, if they were writing this as pastiche and not, currently to set up her relationship with Worf, where he's like, you can get in Worf and tell me how he's feeling about stuff, and she's like, well, I assume he's very angry, and she's like, oh, he feels ways about things. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, are you saying that Worf's river runs a little deep?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can believe that. Well, they don't call it pink, they call it Warrior Red.
Yeah.
So is Dame the equivalent of slut?
Who's the equivalent of slut?
Dame.
Dame
The
or
word.
a hussy? Because he's like, oh, I'm not gonna let you do this over some dame. And
No, that's just
the
what
other,
they called women. If you were, a hit.
because the other girls or the other guys don't call her that.
Yeah.
So is that derogatory?
It depends.
So, could we almost call this a holodeck goes wrong episode?
Definitely.
Oh.
Except it's not on the holodeck.
It's somebody else's holodeck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alien holodeck.
Yep.
Number one, why haven't you left that building?
We tried, sir. It seems like we're trapped in here. We're in no immediate danger.
Something about your location is interfering with communication. We are working on the problem.
Have these frequencies are unstable.
And find others. What is that?
Well, I'm done. He's just standing there I give up.
This is a really slow moving
Stuck
episode.
at a casino. It almost looked like that was, what's her name?
I'm picking up something most unusual.
Terry Hatcher again.
Oh. Yeah.
It appears to be human DNA.
Oh, a little bit.
31.9 meters of
Meat
Yeah,
test.
you have a lot of,
Ew! There's human DNA,
Take us there.
What's that,
I'm
Ed?
sorry. I just want to say that they do have a lot of actors who later on became pretty famous,
Oh, yeah.
such as Terry Hatcher, Ashley Judd.
Right.
No other names are coming to mind right now, but there's a
Kirsten Dunst,
In
Yeah.
one
Really?
Nikki Cox.
Oh.
in one of these episodes, who's that radio DJ that's really big? The John Tesh.
Yeah, dressed as a
he's on
Klingon,
Star
yeah.
Trek. Yeah.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, he's coming up in a couple episodes from now.
God, this is a grody hallway.
Oh, no! This is the hallway from Faulty Towers.
What?
It's not the same, but I think it's inspired by. If you compare the two,
Did they ever,
you're gonna get
did
a
they
good
ever
laugh.
show up where the rooms are on there? I didn't think they ever did.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Okay.
They just went up an elevator,
Okay.
and that's also a funny thing we missed. They're kind of pulling the whole. Why is this turbo lift not working thing? Where they kind of walk into the doors and it doesn't open up.
So one of the most famous dialogue doesn't match what's actually going on scenes. So here's this desiccated corpse in the bed, and look at what Data's going to say.
Male. Looks like the poor devil died in his sleep.
No, it doesn't.
A long time
He's been
ago.
dead 283 years.
If
And now look what he says. The lack of any advanced decomposition is due to the sterile environment. It's a friggin' mummy! He's completely decomposed.
That is so funny.
There's an astronaut suit in here.
That's cool.
Okay, so this is where it gets into the original
Yeah.
plot for it.
Oh, it even has a mission patch.
2033.
So something else joins the U.S. in 2033.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Got to keep a lookout for that.
So this means if this was launched between 2033 and 2079, there's a good chance most of us will be alive to see this launch happen.
Yep.
Because let's see, I was in 79, so I'll be 100 years old.
Well, we would also
farthest outside of this.
We would also be, in the Star Trek timeline, we had the eugenics war in the 90s, and right now we're fighting World War III.
We've also located the remains of a human.
But are we really?
Yeah, really, right?
Colonel Richie, American.
That's kind of depressing. Well, maybe we're in the alternate timeline.
Don't you think Riker would want to get in the suit and do selfies of himself in the astronaut costume?
Totally.
I can see him do
He's
that.
like, okay, Data, I want you to stick your arms out and walk toward me, like a robot.
So here's Data doing the superhuman reading the book. What I want to know is what was the other book that Worf had picked up? Because if you notice, he was holding two books.
The information you requested. Colonel Stephen Ritchie was the commanding officer of the explorer ship Charybdis.
I'm not really
2037.
sure how to pronounce it.
Charybdis was one of the beasts that Odysseus fought on his way back in the Odyssey.
Right, but the way that Picard was saying it, he sounded like he was kind of tripping over.
Yeah, I've pronounced it Charybdis before, too.
Charybdis.
Colonel Ritchie.
Yeah. We found something else, a novel by Todd Matthews.
Here's the
Hotel Royale.
Name of this structure.
Yep.
Royale with cheese.
Captain, this is the story of a group of compulsive gamblers.
Yeah, he's going to
caught
tell
up
the
in
whole
a web of
story.
Crime, corruption, and deceit. It is told by nefarious Lothario Mickey D, who appears only in the
Nefarious
climax of the
Lothario.
story to carry out the cold-blooded murder of the hotel.
Sounds like The Sims.
So, like I said earlier, the original plot was this astronaut is stuck in the happiest moment of his life.
Yeah.
And it got rewritten to this astronaut is stuck in a building based off of a crappy novel.
The book that Worf had, by the way, was Richie's diary.
Oh, his diary? Oh, there we go.
Yes. I write this in the hope that it will someday be read by human eyes.
Oh.
Well, there you
I
go.
can only surmise at this point, but apparently our expeditionary shuttle is blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Which infected and killed.
I write it in this style because I'm a big fan of old Twilight Zone episodes.
So
In the
this,
hope that it'll someday be read by human eye.
so if you're a big Doctor Who fan, you'll be kind of reminded of when Rory, we see where Rory dies. And he dies because he's trapped in a hotel room by the Weeping Angels, exactly. And the idea is that by living in this apartment building, your temporal displacement energy is feeding them. And we can see both Amy and Rory kind of traveling to this hotel to live out their last days. And how funny of a crossover would it be as Riker, Worf, and Data come crashing through, and they see Rory and Amy there,
Yep.
old and infirmed in bed.
Amy would totally be into Data, too.
Oh yeah, she would.
Now we know why all that is there.
Why can't you get out?
She's like, I got turned into a doll once. I felt kind of like
We
you
have-
must feel.
Oh,
We have things in common.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think this episode is kind of a cop-out, and I think that's one of the reasons why fans are so negative towards it, because what did they do for Seth?
That means the atmosphere of the planet.
Yeah, they just went down to the DoubleTree.
Exactly.
The double tree.
The Doubletree. That's where Ron goes there, right?
Yep. But you know what? We
Again,
remember
she
it.
says that this guy was cryogenically frozen. He's not.
The guy in the bed?
Yes! That's the whole thing. They keep saying that he's like perfectly preserved.
You're trying to motivate us to find our own way out of here.
I wonder if this is where the actors were just really pissed off at the set design team, but they couldn't do anything about it. So like, okay, we'll just push through.
I love that they all understand how
a telephone
phones
works.
work.
Yeah, and that it's coming from that, and they automatically pick it up.
Yes?
Worf, it doesn't go there.
Would be funny.
You actually you attach it to one of your left nipple first, and
he's like, well, I grew up in Russia. They still have landlines there.
actually, the people who are most behind are the United States when it comes to cell phone technology. It is.
She said the kitchen will be open 24 hours if we change our minds. We're going to explore the rest of the hotel. We'll keep a comm line open. You two get out of the lobby and see if there's anything that we missed. You talk to the guests, try to find out who or what they are. I'll check out the rest of the floor.
So they're gonna pull a Scooby-Doo.
Maybe some of this was based on The Shining.
Yeah.
Room 237. Here comes Will.
I can't get over how boring that planet is.
Oh, this is so bad. I don't know why Troy is trailing along with him on this. So Picard's going to read the book now to see if he can find any clues.
That would make me really uncomfortable standing behind my boss so closely, looking over their shoulder at their laptop.
Well, now you can have...
She's looking right at his giant bald spot. It's kind of weird. She did it about half a dozen times.
It's weird because it's weird to think, like, why would there need to be, like, more than one tiny monitor in his office, too?
How funny would it be if, you know how they have marks on the floor for where to stand? If he's got a little piece of black tape on the back of his head, they have to... It's like,
that's their mark.
That's your mark. Stare at the back of his head.
Worf's like, I got nothing to do in this episode. At all. Just gonna stand here.
It's just so wonderfully 80s.
Oh, totally.
Oh, man.
All the ladies got their hair did.
How much do I have left here?
Honey, now you know it's bad luck. Count your chips at the table.
Yeah?
Oh,
I love...
this one bothers me so much.
Going back to the whole Data as representative of somebody that has, like, Asperger's.
Okay.
You see how he walked up on that guy?
Yeah.
No.
Where he gets right behind him and taps him on the shoulder like this.
Right.
Which I know several non-neurotypical people that really think that that's the best way to approach somebody that they're behind.
So this lady that is portraying the character's name is Vanessa, and her name is Jill Jacobson, by the way. And she was in Quantum Leap and Who's the Boss and Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
And Deep Space Nine.
What?
Yeah, she was in a Deep Space Nine episode.
Okay.
So
she looks familiar.
She looks a lot like Nana Visitor, actually.
Huh.
She does.
Kira.
You know, now I wanna find out what she was doing in Deep Space Nine.
What do I do?
Just blow on him, honey.
No.
You want a card or not?
Oh no, she doesn't blow on him yet.
Hit me.
She.
Too many.
Oh, too many.
Tex is gonna come to the rescue.
She's dressed like... She makes me think of that episode of Friends where Rachel had to wear the nightie out to dinner with her friend's parents.
Jill Jacobson was in the episode of Broken Link. She was a Bajoran shopkeeper who was kind of crushing on Odo when he became human.
Aww.
That's where we know her. And as you can see on this audio-only podcast, this is what she looks like.
Yep.
So, there she is.
Okay.
Here comes Mickey D. And they finally have the music do what it should have done when he told them they were at the Hotel Royale.
You're missing a pimp cane.
A pimp cane?
I mean, look at him.
He's got his suit jacket by Tim Burton. It's barely... looks like he's wearing a bathrobe.
Okay.
It's not for you to make the call. It's for Rita. She sent me to tell you. Okay, boys, look, we can't afford to have any trouble.
So we got a big fight coming up in the Hotel Royale.
I like that.
My only question is, why is the hotel manager so dismissive?
Oh, they're listening to somebody read them the book, too. Poor Troy.
Look at that look on her face.
It's like this,
I wonder if she can feel it through listening.
This is one of these things What Picard and her are doing right now is it's like he could ask Lieutenant Who's This, who really wants to impress the captain, like, hey, listen to this audiobook and take notes and come tell me like what you think could help.
True. It's not like he doesn't have anything better to do.
Exactly.
She's like, I'm done.
Gross.
I don't want to listen to this. Now, I actually think they're not listening to the narrative off the console there. It's an open comm line, maybe?
No.
Then
it's the narrative of the book.
Go outside and talk about it.
So the narrative of the book just happens to sync up with the narrative in the structure.
Yes, it happens every day.
Wow.
That's what the guy was stuck in for 38 years.
Oh, don't do it, Worf.
Worf, like I said, there's no reason for you to be here at all.
Then he kills him. Everybody's upset. I could die better.
Well, no. Look at what the actor had to do. It's like, we're going to shoot you right in front of this revolving door. You have to fall in such a way that the door can continue to revolve and people can walk around you. That's not easy to do.
You should have listened to me, kid. No woman's worth dying for. Killing for. Not dying.
And I could see you in that outfit.
Talking about that?
Oh yeah.
Look at those. God, look at those pants.
Was it just you and me that we were saying there's a difference between killing for somebody and dying for somebody?
Mm-hmm. No, living for. I would live for you, but I don't think I'd die for you. Was that the conversation?
Oh, I thought it was killing versus dying. That it would be easier to kill for somebody
hear
than
that
to
story
die for
about
somebody.
the couple in the 1920s that got their the wife was crosses in Chicago. The wife was crossing the train tracks and got her foot caught, and her husband was like, I won't leave you, and literally just wrapped himself around her, and the train hit them.
Oh.
And they had like kids and everything, and everybody was shocked that like that was the decision he made. It was like, even at the time, it was like, if you loved your wife that much, you would not have left your children without parents.
Right. You would have stayed and taken care of the kid.
But it was a famous story because it was witnessed by a ton of people. It was just like, the train that goes through the city, not like a train depot, like a regular street crossing.
That's rough.
Yeah.
So here we are in the plot. The bell boy just got shot by the bad guy, and now the B plot of the trashy novel has to resolve itself in the bad episode.
Yeah, Picard just told them that the casino was bought by the three foreigners. So now they're gonna buy the casino.
They gotta raise $12.5 million at the table.
The combinations totaling 7 or 11 have considerable value when achieved on the primary attempt.
Isn't this where he crushes the dice and weighs them?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
I believe so, sir.
But even with him knowing all the variables and odds, he has to at least lose a couple of times. And you think the table would shut him down if he's winning too much, which does happen in some places.
Yeah.
Single digits on each cube are not at all desirable.
You're almost broke.
Relax, how are you doing, money?
So money,
Yes,
baby.
you lose it all. I won't even
Sweetie.
have a place to sleep.
Don't you worry your little head, honey. I'd never let that happen.
Oh my god. This
But
guy.
at least you can tell that actor did not actually stick his hand on her ass.
This is very much a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship right there. Oh, and this is where she blows on Data's dice.
Yeah, that's so awkward.
I know what I'm doing the next time I play craps with you, Ed. I'm gonna have you blow on my dice.
Sure thing, buddy.
Actually, 6 is a valid point. Of course, now the objective is to roll a duplicate.
So now Star Trek is teaching kids how to gamble.
Any kid that was watching this, including young me, is so bored at this
Did
point.
you say the probability of rolling a 6 is no greater than rolling a 7?
Yes. Please break that.
I was gonna ask if you could. You are a Snopser.
7, I thought, is the most common number because of the combination. It is. It is more probable to roll a 7 than it is a 6.
These cubes
Yeah.
are improperly balanced.
in dice.
Right.
With 2 die.
Final resting position
Because
will be
you
at
can do a 6 and a 1, and then any variation down below adjusting.
I will make another attempt.
Whereas
So
with a
7 is
6,
the most common number. 6 and 8 are the second most common, and all the way out to 12 and 2.
Data, you missed.
So now Data, he's rebalanced the dice, so his probabilities are going to change now.
There's another bit of good editing is that Brent Spiner is not throwing dice at all. You're not seeing the dice come out of his hand. He's just doing a really cool arm flick that makes it look like that's what he's doing.
I love Data just
So bad.
emoting because it's weird to have an android doing that, you know?
Don't get out of character, Commander.
Well, the out of character, I mean, a Klingon, a robot, and a guy in pajamas.
Yep.
You can't get any more out of
Sounds
character
like a really
than that.
odd joke.
At the end, it turns out they're Christmas presents.
So here comes the manager with the box full of money. And this perfectly staged...
You're brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm good looking too.
Oh, good old
And so
Tex.
humble.
We should see him in, what was that? Dallas was the soap
Yeah.
opera at the
Oh,
time?
yeah.
I could see him in that.
700,000.
No, bet it all.
Bet it all. 100,000.
That's interesting because
Round money dead.
the
Bet it all.
the guy who won an award in 2016 for the Fermat's Last Theorem actually won
Run this outside, give it to the parking lot.
$700,000 plus
That's
No
really
kidding.
cool.
Wow.
from the award.
That's really
So
cool.
that's a really
Yeah.
neat analogy.
Yeah.
Everybody right.
I'm wondering, what are the odds of winning $12.5 million out of a $700,000 bet?
I bet against you.
Like, what's the return on that?
I do not
Oh.
believe that is
Well,
a choice, sir.
depends on what it is. I'm not sure how craps works and what the odds are.
Roll, boy.
Are you doubling up, or are you is it more?
I wasn't paying attention. So it's about 17.85 times 700,000 will give you 12.5 million. So I don't know what the multiplier is in craps.
The man has the touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shoot.
You knew you'd both throw that second, didn't you? You just let me go down the tube.
Is that a Morgan Freeman knockoff in the background?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm not seeing him there.
No, he was right behind Tex in an earlier shot.
Oh yeah, it'll show him again.
Is that Michael Dorn in the background?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Peter Sellers behind him. Yeah.
Just take $12.5 million, the purchase price of this hotel.
Hey, is that Dexter Clay?
In the background? It might
There he
be.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there he is. You're the foreign investors.
We just bought this place, lock, stock, and barrel. Consider it a
So what would happen if a a character from this reality read the book that he's holding there? Would they disappear in a puff of logic, or?
I don't know. I do like the Ron Jones music that I don't know why it doesn't kick in till the very end.
Well, he may have written this bit. So look, they can leave. They finished the plot.
Uh-huh.
You can see the mic stand in the back. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
great.
that kind of what happened with the holodeck Sherlock Holmes episode?
That all got cleaned. That all got cleaned up in the HD version. You can't see the ground like this anymore. But yeah, I did not notice that they definitely got rid of the mic stand. That's terrible.
Well, so even though this was shot on film, they set up the shots with 4:3 in mind, so you could never go widescreen on next gen. Otherwise, you would have all these, the edge of the set right there. You'd see cable or equipment, or their bottle of Windex they were hiding. Though I did kind of like the idea that they had these curved fluorescent lights on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
This
This is a really bad episode.
Yep.
What happened? They went to a planet because of a mysterious something.
It's over?
Yeah.
It's
over.
Yeah. What? So they changed their course. They found remains of a NASA spaceship,
which is exciting.
That's exciting. They found a building as a habitat/prison for the sole survivor of the destroyed NASA spaceship.
I completely missed that. Or was that the hotel?
That was the hotel.
The hotel was this habitat. And the habitat was constructed by the aliens who accidentally destroyed the NASA ship and said, we feel so bad, we're going to build you a place to live, but we're not going to talk to you, we're not going to ask you, we're going to read this book that you happen to have in your cargo hold, which is based off of the Hotel Royale.
Well, here's the thing. We don't see the aliens. I mean, Riker asks the most pertinent question at the end. It's like, he's way in the hell out here. How did he get here? Picard's like, I don't know. Maybe they brought him here. It's like, all right. So, this was a complete waste of time, wasn't it, Captain? Was it, number one? Was it really?
Well, I don't know. Data got an opportunity to get some good poker and gambling moves.
That's the one thing that we're winning on is Data looking silly in it. Is about all it has going for it is silly Data and maybe Tex. We can rate that. So do you want to rate it on a Tex scale?
Like Tex, like Texas? Oh.
Tex mess?
Yeah.
Jeez, well, everything's bigger in Texas, so maybe we should make this 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Jem, you want to go first?
I see it being that I completely missed the plot. I didn't realize that this was some fake world to make up for, something horrible that happened. I wasn't paying attention at all, and I don't think that there was really any kind of character arc or development, which is the things that I find interesting in Star Trek. So I'd probably give it a 1. 1 out of 10 Texes.
Yeah, I will.
1 Tex.
I will also give it a 1 because I do remember seeing it as a kid and being like, "This is boring. This is so boring." And but again, it had a neat setup. Like right. It would have been they could have done a lot of fun stuff with it, but they just didn't want to.
Out of all the things they could have done, they really could have made it look a little bit more alien-like. I was a little disappointed that, like what we said earlier, that they just went to the next set over and filmed there.
So you're thinking like Star Wars canteen kind of thing?
I don't know. The cantina scene was pretty cool, but it's just, there's so many different... Why couldn't have this been like in the Huck Finn era? That would have been kind of cool. But they chose a trashy casino with a bad plot. Mm-hmm. And so they made the mistake of engaging in a poorly written plot to put on TV, and you got a poorly written episode for it.
All right.
I think they painted themselves in a corner. So Tex, out of all the Texas, I could probably give it about 1 or 2. I do remember it. I do remember the seeing the NASA debris. That was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it was.
I'm just like, wow,
thinking it's going to be good.
Yeah, but yeah, it was slow as heck. I did enjoy the cool, gambling music and Data doing the dice throw and the snapping the fingers. I mean, he looked like he had a lot of fun. Yeah. He got to break character there. So, yeah, that's my rant. How about you, Ed? What kind of rating do you give this?
Well, I was going to give it a 2 just for, the mathematical reference and all that sort of thing. But then they go and screwed up a regular dice probability. Now, technically, they said it correctly. The probability is not higher for rolling a 6 than a 7, but that hinted towards it's the same, which it is not. So, yeah, sorry, I can't give it to him. Just wouldn't be right. But yeah, it's just a bad episode. It's just, you're like, okay, is something going to happen? No. Oh, it's done. It's done.
That's so funny.
Great. So, but as a whole, I really do like Star Trek, and especially The Next Generation. So, you're not going to have all good ones, and these types of episodes will make you realize how much better the ones that are good and why.
Yeah. Oh, so you're almost saying, like, it's good to have a couple of bad ones to contrast the good ones?
Absolutely.
I agree.
And I think if you take it from a more failed attempt at humor than an actual serious episode, it's pretty good. Because it's like they're making fun of themselves in a lot of scenes, like Data doing the whole, like you said, snapping of the hand and all that sort of thing. He wouldn't show that sort of emotion.
No.
He's making fun of himself.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. I hadn't thought of that.
And I like Picard's "Don't get out of character" #1 line is good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there it is.
Yep.
So, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Next Generation's First Generation.
And Eddie, you come back anytime.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yay.
I had a lot of fun.
And if you're interested in joining the show, just drop us a line and we'll Skype you in. You can also contact the show at Next Generation's First Generation Pod at gmail.com. You can check us out on our Facebook page with the same name, Next Generation's First Generation Podcast. You can also find us out there in wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and a couple of other really generic servers as well. With that being said, have a wonderful day.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation, Captain Picard's identical twin from the future traps the Enterprise in a deadly time warp.
The Enterprise was destroyed 3 hours, 19 minutes from now.
We can't escape. We can't go forward.
No. Now, can they stop their own destruction?
I can't hold it any longer.
It's a desperate fight to escape total annihilation on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Why am I interviewing you guys?
So you're the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek
Hi,
Next Generation?
I'm the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear. Music heard in this podcast can be found at freemusicarchive.org. Audio engineering by Sasha Shouties. Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirshner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word gets out.
Do you have a podcast that you think people should be listening to? Send us your promos and we'll play them on the show. If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sasha Shouties. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.